Hey guys, it's Lugia fan forever here. So basically, before I start talking, I just want to say that I'm gonna basically be covering where Tales from the Lugia Lands has been all this time, and basically the reason why I haven't updated in forever is basically because of a very strange event that happened to me that's related to Tales from the Lugia Lands, and that's basically a very, very disturbing fan episode that I received, and it creeped me the heck out and basically made me afraid to do anything related to Tales from the Lugia Lands. And I know that sounds like nothing to some of you, but as soon as I start talking about what the heck I saw, you're gonna agree with me. So basically the video started off with a blue background and title card with large Times New Roman font saying Albino Lugia's Rampage. That lasted for about a few seconds and then the episode started. Then it showed a very, very blurry sprite of Gaius, which I assumed to be in the Lugia lands, which it looked like he had ripped from my series, and he was just standing there. And there was no background music at all like there is in the actual series. Gaius moved to the left side of the screen and then back to the right again, and then he said, I'm bored. I wonder what Albino Lugia is up to. Then he flew up and off the screen, and then one of those meanwhile transitions appeared, like how you see in my series. It was pretty close to the one I used, except the font was different. Then it cut to Sky Mountain, which I could tell again he very, very poorly writ from my series. And again, there was no background music at all for some reason. And Albino Lugia was at the top of the Sky Mountain like he always is, but his sprite was very, very blurry, and his mouth was edited to look like it was shut, and he had a very, very serious expression on it. He was also pointing downwards for some reason, and he was facing the ground. Then Gaius flew in and landed in front of him, and then he said, "Hello, Albino Lugia, how are things?" Albino Lugia didn't reply for about a minute, and then a speech bubble popped over him, and he said, "Please just go, ... please." Gaius didn't reply as he backed up, and then he flew off the screen. I was very confused with this because Albino Lugia isn't usually like that, and the person who made this probably hasn't watched a lot of my series, but I don't care. So nothing changed as the scene was set on Albino Lugia. I took a closer look at him, and I noticed that his serious expression changed from serious to a smile, but not the open mouth smile that you see all the time on the sprites in my series. It was like a smirk. And then a few seconds after that, a teardrop fell down from his eye, and as soon as it hit the ground, a tiny animated splash popped up. Then another meanwhile backdrop appeared, and then it cut to a very, very badly ripped Rupert and Gaius again at what I assumed to be the base of Sky Mountain. Gaius said to Rupert, "What's wrong with Albino Lugia?" Rupert replied with, "I don't know, I hope he's alright." Then Albino Lugia suddenly flew in out of nowhere and landed in between Gaius and Rupert. He had the same smirk on from before, but then I noticed his eyes seemed a little bit darker. He then said, How dare you talk of me like that?" He then quickly flew over to Gaius and then seemed to ram into him over and over again. Gaius looked like he fell over, and then a large red scratch appeared on his front or stomach area. Gaius got back up and he said, "Albino Lugia, what has gotten into you?" Albino Lugia didn't reply as he rammed into him again, and this time when Gaius fell over, he had a scratch on his head, and he did not get back up. Albino Lugia ran Gaius over and over again, and Gaius got more and more bloody as he was hit. I was very disgusted at this. Suddenly, Rupert blasted Albino Lugia with one of his attacks, but it had no effect on him. Albino Lugia turned around to face Rupert, and then he shot out his usual rainbow beam attack, though the colors of the rainbow beam were inverted. The rainbow beam shot right through Rupert's stomach, and animated blood shot out all over him, as well as Albino Lugia's face. Rupert then fell to the ground. I had to rewind the video to make sure what I was watching was real. So I watched the whole scene over and over again, and I thought to myself, what the heck is wrong with this person? Who would do something like this? Albino Lugia then flew up and left the scene, leaving Gaius and Rupert, who were now dead, behind. Then another meanwhile backdrop popped up, and then a cut to Oliver and Gaiosman on what looked like the beach where Alpha Kyogre lives. Albino Lugia flew in again, but this time his eye was even darker than before, and his smirk seemed to be a little longer. The blood on his face from before looked like it had dried up. Oliver took one look at Albino Lugia before he immediately flew up and then hid behind Gaiosman in fear. Albino Lugia said, "Don't fear me, my friends." Gaiosman then said, "Albino Lugia, are you okay?" Albino Lugia said nothing, and then he shot out another rainbow beam, and again the colors were switched around. The rainbow beam blew Guy Osman's head off, and then his body hit the ground, and then animated blood splashed all over him. Albino Lugia looked at it for a few seconds, and then he looked up at Oliver. He got closer and closer to poor Oliver, who now had a nervous expression on his face. I couldn't bear to see what was going to happen. I assumed Oliver was too scared to move. Albino Lugia got as close as he could before his wings suddenly shot out in front of him, and then he appeared to be covering up Oliver's head. Oliver's sprite shook up and down a few times, and then a weird cracking noise was heard. And then Albino Lugia's wings went back to his regular position or whatever, and then Oliver fell to the ground. Oliver's head was facing backwards and his neck was covered in blood. Albino Lugia's wings were also covered in blood. Albino Lugia that then landed down in between the two bodies, and he just stood there for a very long time, and then he started to smirk again. This is where it got really creepy, because the smirk suddenly started to grow longer and longer and longer until it looked so unnatural that I got really creeped out and I had to look away for a bit. It was that creepy. And I didn't even notice at first, but his eye had turned completely black with no pupils or anything. Then it cut to black, but no text was seen like the meanwhile transitions. I had really hoped that this was over, as I really couldn't bear to see what would happen next. I sat there shaking as I waited to see what would happen. I was super nervous. Nothing happened for almost 3 minutes, and then 2 red circles slowly appeared in the blackness. Then some music started playing, but it sounded like distorted and out of order. I listened to the jumbled words, and I made out the song. It was the G, How I Love to Fly song that plays as the theme song of the series, but for some reason it was playing in reverse. I listened to the dreaded song until it was finally over. Then it was quiet for a few seconds, and the red circles were still on the screen. Then it showed itself. A terrifyingly loud screeching noise was heard as a very, very scary picture of Albino Lugia's face was shown. It had no lower jaw, just an upper jaw with blood dripping and dagger-like teeth. Its head altogether looked like it had been mangled into pieces. Parts of its skull could be seen poking out, while muscle and what looked like nerves were dangling out. Its eyes were completely round with black outlining and tiny, tiny black pupils. They looked like they were about to bulge out. At this point, I got the heck out of the video and began spamming the report video button like crazy. I said things like my content was stolen and how gruesome this thing was. Anything to get it down for good, and I was super freaked out at this point and scared by the sudden jump scare that I didn't even know what to do. Shortly after I did calm down and stuff and came to my senses, and I blocked the person who made the video, and unfortunately I wasn't able to take any screenshots of it because, as I said before, I was just so scared I wasn't even thinking right. So the video was taken down, which is a good thing, but the bad thing is this. A few days after the video was taken down, I got an email from someone, and it said the following.